Hi all, right, welcome back. I'm Action Kharkov, German Soul Part 10. Okay, Part 10. Right, couple of things. I was going to sit down before I started recording and look at Martin's reply to my latest post regarding 9.25 tiebreakers and stuff like that. I started looking at it and I think I need to leave that till tomorrow. Tomorrow, yeah, bit of a late night episode this, and I want to get another wee bit in. So yeah, it's not late. It's probably late enough, but it's late enough for me to not look at his reply and kind of get a total grasp on what he's saying. So I browsed through it a little bit and then thought it's better with a fresh head in the morning. And I just want to get another wee bit of gameplay done. To be honest, that's what we're talking. Now, I tried messing about with this other lamp at the side and got another bulb, and whether the bulb I've brought up is broken as well because I couldn't get things working. I even tried another light, so it's all a bit darker across here. I mean, I've got the big sort of bright lamp thing that I could put on, but I'm not so sure it's necessary. When I watch it back, and most of the it's all over this area here, and my light at this side is probably dealing with it. So I'm pretty sure there'll not be any problems. So yes, a bit of a late night episode. So there's risks involved here. But I thought I would like to try and get another part in before bed. So yeah, because I've done part 9, but I've not reviewed it back yet. So I thought maybe when I head off to bed, I could maybe look at a bit of that and then finish it off. Well, it was an hour and 40 minutes, I think. So depends. I'm not working at the moment, so I've got some time off. Well, quite a bit of time off. So yeah. Okay. Right. So well, it's we've got a German impulse first, haven't we? I think I said this the last time I came along, didn't I? Yeah, I think we just finished activating third tank. We did. They've got 5 cards left in their draw pile, I seem to recall. We did get to burn a combat tactic at last. It just seemed to be all the time that they keep shuffling them back in. Which, yeah, that's kind of brutal. I think, to be honest, in any match in Ardennes, there might have been more cards in the draw pile. There certainly wasn't as much shuffling back in. I don't feel like there was anyway. So maybe the fact that there's less cards, they've found a way of balancing that out by shuffling the cards in better. Okay, so we've got well, rather than lay them out, this is our hand. I still feel like I don't know what to do with this because you can see them up in the top corner there, and yeah, I get the feeling come the last impulse when I've got this card, I'm still not going to know what to do with them, but to be honest. And then we've got this, which is not about the core rouse, but probably about the event for engineers. Now I've got to play one card, I can't pass yet. Once I play this one card though, I could then pass the next turn, and I think I could keep passing. I think, how does it work? I know that if I've got one card, well, there's no point passing if the Germans have run out, the Soviets have run out of cards, so. I'll look at that when I get down to the last card anyway. So, probably going to play the Engineers event, I think. I just started thinking there though that maybe, hang on, what if I did want to maybe move the 40 core units around a little bit, because maybe I might want to build an IP on one of them before, Because when you move a unit, if it's got an IP, obviously it's going to drop off. But there's probably plenty other places to place IPs, I think. Yeah, I mean, just looking about, obviously that is in a town. Remember, you can't build in a town. I can also build on dispersed. Yeah, I want to say that's right. Hang on. Actually, I might be wrong with that, because... yeah, no, that is in the first bit. I'm just looking at the player aid. Can't move, attack, advance, or receive an IP. Yeah. So he can't build an IP. And obviously any units in towns and cities cannot as well. But there's plenty of other opportunities, you know what I mean? These two guys over here. This guy here, possibly. I mean, he's 3 steps, 5 strength, but that also means we want to keep him around, and ideally at 5 strength and 3 steps. We did move this guy to Kharkov, just on the very edge of the camera there. We left this guy outside, Zimyev, so he's potential to build an IP. So is this guy, but they're kind of behind everything that's going on. You know, it might be better considering some of these guys. This guy's across the river there, but you know, building an IP on that guy, yeah, maybe not a terrible idea actually, because he's in a good defensive position. He's going to soak up a hit where he is. I mean, unless they were to get round the back of him, because all the attack's going to be coming across the river. And then, of course, you've got multiple third corps units just waiting to like take an IP. Maybe they don't worry so much, these two, because we've got first guards here, but there's only like 6 strength or infantry. They don't want to abandon Slavansk. Well, certainly not abandon it to be able to let us proximate to it. And it feels like Popov's kind of coming down now. 6th Army haven't done anything else. I'm guessing we're going to see a bit of movement from them, and we've still not seen anything from 40th Army. So, yeah, 6th Army, that was the first card we drew, wasn't it? So they've not done an awful lot. I'm guessing they might move a bit, and certainly 40th Army, like I say. Well, and 1st Guards, actually, aren't they? Yeah, that's a point. Because I've not got their I've not got their army objective marker down, so how have they moved into there? Have I missed that? Or was it... No, I don't think so. So looking through the discard pile now. How dare I? Right, it's not a 1st Guards card at all. So how... I'll tell you how they moved in there, because we got shoved out of there with that event, didn't we? I think it was this guy that was in there, and he got the 2 hits thing from the... what was it called? NKVD event or something? NKVD operations? Something like that. Where are we? Yeah, NKVD operations. Signed 2 hits to the German unit stack adjacent to the Soviet units of the most total. Then there was the... Yeah, it took a step off of the Soviets. And then finally, if you retreated, conduct advanced after combat with those Soviet units. So that's how they've moved, actually. They must have advanced. It must have just been the 2 infantry. Yeah, I seem to remember saying, yeah, I was quite glad that one of the Popov units didn't move in there, and it just left the 1st Guards in there, and then the Popov units have moved on further. So that's why they got to move, because we've not activated them at all. So, because we've not got either of the 2 army objective markers on the board. So, yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I still don't think there's a need to like move 40 core yet, because yeah, we might as well keep that card. Well, yeah, I think so. I don't see my real need to activate core rouse. Keep it till my last card. Well, hang on, Grant. Hang on. Maybe that isn't such a stupid thought. Because I mean, there's the 40 core units up there. What urgency am I going to find for them? They've got 2 First Guards army units in there, and they're not going to both just rush out here. They're certainly not going to run down this way and leave Sylvan's empty where we can just stroll into it. And the pop-off units they're fine. They're heading towards their southwest front objective down here, and going to try and have a go at some of the 3rd Corps and maybe even these Rouse units, and that's maybe why. Should I maybe not keep the... Well, maybe... Yeah, no. Thing is, you're going to use that for engineers, Grant. You can bolster up some of these, strengthen these positions that you're talking about. Yeah. It's just, I don't really see anything great I'm going to do with the 40 core. Yeah, I still think it seems to make more sense to, because the Soviets are still going to come at us, so why not at least make it a bit tougher for them and put 3 IP markers on hopefully the right units. Okay, so yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to go ahead with this, and we're going to play the event engineer. So just checking on it. It says in 3 non-town, non-city hexes, in any combination, place an IP on a supplied German unit stack, or remove an IP from a Soviet unit adjacent to a German unit. Well, the Soviets have no IPs at all, so we can ignore that part. So it's basically place an IP on a supplied German unit stack that's not in a town or city. Right, hang on. Yeah, well, okay, it doesn't talk about dispersed there, but I did just read dispersed, didn't I? And it says it can't build an IP. Yeah, can't move, attack, advance, or receive an IP. So it's just, it doesn't mention the player aid there, but yeah, fair enough. Yeah, there's quite a few questions Martin brought up. I want to say one of them was, I don't think it was that. No, right, I'm not going to go there just now. And all the questions and answers that question and answer file that got uploaded was all to do with the Soviet solo as well. Anyway, but some of the things do relate to this game in a way, so. Okay, so are we going to do this? Right, we want to pick 3 units that aren't town cities and place an IP on them. Yeah, okay. Right, let me pause and have a look and think, and yes. Right, okay, I've just started again. I know it's a stranger angle, but it's letting me look at the map more. And yeah, I kind of quite fancy putting it on this guy, but I mean, he is only 1 step, Grant, isn't he? It's just the position he's in. I mean, he's more likely to be targeted. But he's being across the river there. It's kind of appealing. Now we can't go here or here, or Yeah, no, we can go there, can't we? So there's 1, 2, 3. Wow, there's lots of options. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, come on, Grant. There's far too many. I don't feel up here is anything to worry about. Well, yeah, yeah, right. These two are quite nicely poised as well. That's tough. It's tough to decide which ones to pick, isn't it? I don't. I mean, the fact these Rouse units are in front of us, we probably don't care about that. I mean, these are poised to. They're probably going to go for Chugev before heading down to Zimyev, aren't they? I mean, this guy's just outside Zimyev. And admittedly, if they did go and bust their way in there, they would be able to come across here, but that putting an IP on that guy doesn't really help that factor. I'd like to think we're going to go into turn 2 before they threaten Zimyev anyway. So maybe not a concern and not a concern, and these two we can't do, so that takes the second SS out of it. I'll get some markers across. We're getting 3 of them, aren't we? And so yeah, okay, Grant, come on then. Okay, I'm actually thinking that because we've only got these 2 Rouse units and this 48 core unit here, that's all we've got protecting. Well, I say it's all we've got protecting Belgorod, but remember I did place this unit back in Kharkov, knowing that I can reach Belgorod with one movement. However, I mean, there's the second SS are all around in the middle area here, so maybe there's a bit more. Yeah, it's mostly infantry coming down here, but the third tank have some stuff as well, and their objective marker is here in Chugev. So, okay, they might not sway too far left, but they might go a bit. So I was kind of thinking maybe, well, probably better just bolstering that guy. I think he's a one-step unit as well. So I was thinking IP that guy and possibly this guy. So that leaves you one more, Grant. So not these. So either this guy, remember he's only one step as well, but he's going to get, there's a good chance he's going to get whereas these 2 guys, but then maybe I should keep. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to IP, I'll just put the cubes on top just now. I think here. Yeah, cause I don't, and remember where you're putting these, you don't want to then move them next turn, because then you built an IP and then move them away and then it just falls off. So, but I don't see myself wanting to move these guys. The Soviets might move them, fair enough, but. And this seems pretty, I mean, it's a good unit, but what's that? Yeah, okay. Is he the only 48th guy who got left? Yeah, we lost 2 of them. That's pretty brutal, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to put the second one there, I think. And then the third one, I don't know. Well, I feel like it's either this guy or one of these 2. And I did think this guy, but he's not, I mean, yeah. This guy's a nice bat, but I mean, you can see all the pop-off units there. They're going to come in here. I mean, they might target the Rouse units. Actually, we've still not done this advance after combat, have we? Ah, come on, Grant. Get it done. Actually, I should do that now, shouldn't I? I think my guess is there's a combat here and these two stacks attacked because they're still showing that away, and we've got one advance into there. I've left it that long, I can't remember. I think so. He's taking a step loss. Yeah, I think I might have to look back on that, to be honest. I get the feeling that there's going to be some advance after combat in there. Yeah, I've never had the reply, and Martin replied to my last comment, so like I say, well, it's either that he's not seen it, but I kind of tend to think that he's maybe wanting to let that one go to John, because it's not it written in the rules we're doing it right, but I might be wrong. There might be some other reason. Okay, I just went back and looked at the video footage just to sort this out, because yeah, there's no point. We've done the third tank stuff, so wherever these units were, we're going to leave them, so that'll be like that. And if we find out, like I say, we just need to forget. Yeah, we can take that away. So the attack was on this hex. The unit retreated 1 hex. He was just 1 step when he was attacked. That was quite a good result for us. And in actual fact, I think they took. This guy got hit. I think they took. Did they not maybe even take 3 hits? It was like kind of nuts, I think. Anyway, they stayed upright. They didn't disperse, so they could advance at 1 hex. So let's get that resolved. So what we got? Unit 6. I know this is going back a bit, but I did leave it in a state that it was easy to deal with. So 6, 17, 26, and what have we got under here? Well, 23, so he'll be the last one. So 6 first, and he is advancing in the forward direction, so I think that's an auto advance, isn't it? Yeah, primary direction. Sorry, I keep saying forward direction, but there's a primary and a secondary, yeah, but so he would advance into here. Now it's only a 1 hex advance. I'm just going to turn him back round now, because we had left them that way just to remind ourselves that they were the ones that had made the attack, which is just as well actually, because I actually didn't think this guy was involved, but he was, and he took a hit. Okay, so then unit 17, well that's forward, primary direction 2. However, we've got a unit in there already. So he will advance on a 1 to 6. It's a 4. So yes, he does, and that'll be that then. So I'll put him underneath. Yeah. And then that's 2 units advanced. So no more can advance into the hex. And that's us. So we're just going to forget all about the whole thing about if there should be some word change in there, because yeah, I think we need Mr. Butterfield himself to tell us what he thinks about that. Okay, so does that change any of your thoughts regarding the other 2? Right, I'll drop back a little bit, get a bit more of the picture on. Right, so yeah, we're going to go with that one, So did that change anything? Well, maybe, because both the units advanced in there, didn't it? And although this could easily be a target, at least we've got the second SS unit behind that, you know. But then again, they're going to maybe check, you know, Unit 6 would maybe check here, and then the other one would check there, and because this guy's got an IP, then they might say, you know, leave him be. But well, to be honest, I suppose third corps are more important. Corps Rouse is a bit meh. I mean, it's all infantry throughout. I don't think they have any armoured units at all. And third corps, I mean, okay, you're talking turn 4, get a bunch of reserves. So it's maybe more important to preserve them. And yeah, I could put one in here. I ain't spending too much time on this grant. Come on. Yeah, I'm going to go with that guy. Why not? Let's not try and think that you know what you know the brilliant plan here. Remember, it's all really about trying to play the game properly, trying to find some rules that are, well, no, I'm not trying to find rules that are iffy or that. It's not that, but I do tend to come across things. But then again, some of them have been daft thoughts. Right, so I'm going to put the IP marker underneath and just have the blue cube on top. And yeah, that'll be that. So we've now got one card left in our hand. We built IPs in the 3. Now they needed to be supplied. Actually, is there? Should I? Maybe should I? Do they need to trace supply? I think. Well, they can trace supply, can't they? Yeah. I don't. It only says. Well, okay. Maybe I should check the rules for building an IP though. This is not June. Yeah, you may play the Engineer's Command event to place an IP marker on any 3 eligible German unit stacks. Restrictions: an IP marker can't be placed in a town or city on a hex that already has an IP. IPs can't be placed on a unit that is dispersed, out of supply, or isolated unless stacked with an eligible unit or turn 5 plus. Yeah, that's fine. So they're supplied units. Yeah, and they're not dispersed. So I think that's all we need. Right, okay. Right. So we've got one card now left in our hand. So now we can pass. And I'll double check if we can multiple pass. I think we can, but there's going to come a time where we can't say pass, surely, because if the Soviets have run out of cards, then it might be an infinite loop to nowhere. That might not be a bad idea. How did you get on, Grant? Well, I went nowhere. Right. Okay. 30 minutes coming up so let's get a Soviet impulse to finish the night, and hopefully my head can cope with it. We shall see. Right, okay, Soviet impulse. And I know we're down the darker end of the table now because I've not got the extra lamp there. It looks okay in the camera, but it's maybe not as bright as what it was up the other end. I'm sure it'll be fine. Right, let's draw 2 cards. There's first guards, and there's first guards. So we've got, this one's a primary card, so that's going to go in the command card slot. And this is going to go in the auxiliary slot. and that'll be, I think it's 3 cards left we've got now, so that will affect the whole triggering of shuffling cards in again. What was the other one about 3 cards? Oh yeah, the reuse. There it tells you there, Grant. When 3 or fewer cards are in the Soviet draw pile, I'm going to double check. Because that one's not... Yeah, I think we've got 3 cards now. We do. There's 3 cards left. So if you come across any combat tactics that say reuse, no reuse on a mud turn or when 3 or fewer cards are in the Soviet draw pile. So remember that, Grant. Okay, so we looking for an event. 6 is a special, but the normal event is from turn 5, so there's no event. So we might well be using this. Oh. Okay. There's no combat tactic either then. That's a bit odd, is it not? Well, maybe not. Maybe that's deliberate. So we're not going to be able to use that for a combat tactic because it's from turn 2 to 7 or 8 plus. So we're going to activate first guards twice because we're going to activate them, and then this can't come out of the auxiliary card box now, can it? There's no way for it to come out because it can't be used for a combat tactic. So that's then going to move across, and then we're going to move down. It's not turn 6, it's not turn 6 plus, and we're going to activate all units in the army. So we're going to have a double first guards army activation. Ooh, okay. That's the guys that are up at Slavansk, isn't it? Is there not another one of them? Is there only 2 units? Yeah, I think there might be. Right, okay, well, let's move on, Grant. It might not be that brutal, and it might be quite quick, to be honest, if there's only 2 units. So there's no event, so we're going to move to the command card and activate all units in the first guard's army. So let's move up and have a look. Right, there we go. Right, yeah, we do have just 2 units, so that's 4 strength infantry and the 2 strength infantry, and they're both sitting in Sylvansk. Kind of like on their own though, so nobody around about them. We do, however, have a reserve, so we've got that. So that's active as well, remember, because when we activate all units in the army, these 2 are activated, and the reserve unit does become active. It's only really going to be considered, I think, if we went for an attack. I think it's only when we get into the later turns that it can come in through other ways. I think, does it come in when there's garrisons or something? Well, that might not affect us, right? So we're going to activate all units in the army. We do have at least one. We need to have at least one. What is it? In supply unit, I think it is. Right. Let me find my way about here. Right. I think probably need the rule book for that, but because we've only got 2, it's maybe worthwhile having a look. Right, yeah, I was kind of struggling to find that. Page 14, 8.13, unit activation command. Activate units in the formation specified on the card per 9.0 if at least one non-isolated unit in the specified formation is on the map or in the reserve box. Yeah, so it needs 1, so even if it was in the reserves, I suppose. If this minimum requirement is not met, do not perform the activation command, and Soviet formations are not subject to consecutive activation restrictions. Okay. So yeah, we've got 2 on the map, we've got 1 in the reserve, so they are going to activate. So now this is one of the ones that have an army objective. So here we go. So we're activating first guards, and we need to place this. So we've not done this yet. Soviet front and yeah, placing and removing an army objective marker. Right. Upon activating the 40th or the 1st Guards Army for the first time, place the army objective marker for that army and the first hex indicated on the back of the marker, 0311 for 40th Army and 2102 for 1st Guards. And there we are, 2102. So where's that? It's in Kramatorsk. Okay. So they're wanting to try and do that. An army objective is considered reached only when a Soviet unit of any army enters the marker's hex. When this occurs, move the army objective marker to the next hex listed in the back of the marker. For example, when a Soviet unit enters hex 0311 for the first time, relocate the 40th Army objective marker to hex 1012, and when that hex is entered to 0215. Right, so I must have 3 objective markers. Yeah, 3 hexes. Yeah, this one only has 2 though, the 1st Guards. Sorry, I know we're upside down and yeah. 2102 in it. What was it? 2701. 2701. Right, that's across. It's the there it's there. It's one of the Victory Point map edge hexes. There. So it's got a Soviet unit's got to reach there before that moves, and then it would move to there, and then. Well, it carries on. As long as an army objective marker is in play, the units in that army follow the special movement methods of 9.26. So we're going to look at different movement methods. Army objective removal and army objective markers removed from play when any Soviet unit enters the last listed hex on the army objective marker, even if other hexes on the marker have not yet been entered, or right, just what that means is, like, a Soviet unit might not reach here, but it might actually reach here, then we remove that. And the or is the front objective marker for the front to which the army belongs is removed from play. So if we remove this southwest front marker, then that would also get removed from play. Okay. When an army objective marker is removed, units in that army follow the movement methods for their front's objective if it's in play. Right, good. Okay, that's it, really. So 9.26 though, so remember that, Graham. Where's 9.26? Right, it's further on. 9.26 movement methods for units with army objectives. Right. Well, I've opened it up to there. So that's where that goes. Well, yeah, I think that's what we need to do next. I'm unsure. We've only got these 2 units. Selector number 2 and 10. They're both infantry. Is that all we've got? That is just day 2, isn't it? There's nothing stat. If they were stacked, I would have, slid them down a bit. These are all 40. Oh, these are our guys. Yeah, 6 army units. Yeah, it's just the 2 and the 1 reserve. So, okay, well, let's look at 9.26 then. Movement methods for units with army objectives. This is on page 21. In descending order. So not the guy on top. Check active units with an army objective marker, 1 at a time in descending numerical order. Each unit moves according to the following methods instead of the methods in 9.21. but are still subject to the conditions of 9.23, 9.24 and 9.25. Right, 9.23 is the restrictions on Soviet movement, 9.24 is the tiebreakers, and 9.25 is the tactical preferences when moving adjacent to German units. So, okay. Right, so here's the methods. Take a VP hex, and it says that this method is identical to 9.21 method 1, including urban infiltration. So can they take a VP hex? And right, I'm going to have to move this guy up top because it is going in descending order. So can he take a VP hex? No. He's sitting in a VP hex, so it's identical. Does that mean he might stay there? I don't think so. So it's identical to method 1, including urban infiltration. It's starting adjacent to, no, that's not, no. If not possible, we'll move to an empty map edge VP hex. Well, I mean, this is where he would like to go, but you can see there's too much in the way. Well, actually, Kramatorsk comes in between that, because that is unoccupied. So, but no, there's no gap through here. They can't go and take the VP hex. Right. Movement method 2 within 9.26 is adjacent to German unit, and it's identical to 9.21 method 8, which is adjacent to German unit. Right, give me a sec. Right, so movement method 8 is adjacent to German unit in descending order. Move to an unoccupied hex as adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. A unit starting in a hex satisfying this movement. Well, it doesn't actually, because it's not adjacent to a German unit. So we can check this one out. Yeah, this guy might move. Move to an unoccupied hex as adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. Well, that kind of says that it could come down here, right? But then it would be adjacent to a Soviet unit, adjacent to the same German unit. So my feeling is it's going to be one of these guys he's going to be adjacent to. The preference has a hex adjacent to the most German units. Okay. Yeah, he's going to go here or here, isn't he? Right, let me put a couple of cubes down, but I think that's where it's going to head. Yeah, okay, I'm putting cubes down there, and I don't need to be, really, do I? So it's an unoccupied hex that's adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit. Sorry, not adjacent to a Soviet unit, adjacent to that same German unit. So this would be, like I've already said, adjacent to a Soviet unit, adjacent to the same German unit. So it doesn't want to do that. Every one of them would be not adjacent to a Soviet unit, adjacent to the same German unit. So let's move on to the next preference. And yeah, I don't think we need to look elsewhere. Because, you know, I could maybe come in here as well. It's going to be adjacent to a Soviet unit, adjacent to the same German unit. 1, 2, 3, and I could possibly, no, I can't get in there. Well, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. I could get in there as well, I think. Which would be adjacent to a Soviet unit, adjacent to the same German unit. That's why he's staying up here. So the next preference is, right, sorry, no, that's not the next, that was part of the, what's it called? The word I can't remember. I keep looking at 9.25 to remind myself. Requirement, the requirement. That was the requirement. Okay. So prefer a hex adjacent to the most German units. So this one's only adjacent to 1, and this one's only adjacent to 1. So if we take them out of the equation, you can see that this is adjacent to 2, and this is adjacent, well actually, most German units. So yeah, it's going to be the top one, isn't it? A hex adjacent to the most German units. Yeah, it's units. It's not like, yeah, it's units. So that's going to be adjacent to 4 German units, and that's only going to be adjacent to 2. So that'll be that. So we've found our hex. Yeah, we've found our hex, and there's no restrictions broken because he's leaving that other guy in there. He's going to move into there. Oh, you know what I've not done? I've not done my thing again, have I? I should do it like that. Right. Right, so he moved from here to here. Just one. Yeah, he's infantry, so one movement. One movement point, yeah. So 9.25 would kick in here. So let's just double check it. Operational limit. Surround. No. Yeah. Support. No. Hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit. Oh. Right. So that is going to kick in then. Right, I move my cubes away, but so yeah, preference D is a hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit, but yeah, this is the one I have issues with and wonder if it should be worded differently. But so we had 1, 2, 3, 4. This was only adjacent to 1 unit. This was adjacent to 2. This would have been adjacent to 3. And this would have been adjacent to 4. That's why we picked that one. However, he's adjacent to a Soviet unit. Which is preference D, a hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit. So that then means that that would be more preferential and that would be more preferential because these two are going to be adjacent to a Soviet unit. And he can reach these two as well as the one he's on, right? And then E is an empty or garrison hex. Well, both these hexes are empty. Well, this one's empty too. And then F's a hex not occupied by an active unit. Right, so this is where it kicks in, and to be honest, this is where I need to read Martin's response about where we go now. Because he says go straight to tiebreakers. Like I say, I've not fully read the response and absorbed it yet because yeah, because it's kind of late at night, and well, I'm trying to do this as well, so this is maybe not the best idea. If I was to move back to where were we? Right, it's 9.26, isn't it? The movement method said identical to method A. Right, okay, that's where we're at. Hex adjacent to the most German units. Well, that would, if we backtrack now to movement method 8, and this wasn't an option of 9.25 and these two were, then this would be adjacent to 3 German units and this would be adjacent to 1. And this is why I wanted to ask this question, because I'm not sure if we should double back to that. I mean, just briefly looking at Martin's response, he says, no, go to tiebreakers right away. So, if that was the case, tiebreakers would say, if more than one decision, right, closest to the unit's objective marker. Now remember, this is our objective marker because we've got an army objective marker. So that would be 1, 2 away. And you know what? That would be 1, 2, 3 away. So there you go. So we're getting away with that one in both cases, but I do need to, make sure that I'm getting this one right. Because if I look straight at tiebreakers, that's where the unit tie breaks to. But if I was to have looked back on movement method 8, which is what this one wants to link to, and find preferences within it, this would still be the 1 because it's adjacent to the most German units. But I need to make sure we're getting this right. Like I say, I need to get up tomorrow and possibly even read Martin's response and maybe even follow up asking him, just to make sure situations like this are what he's meaning. So, yeah, okay. So we're going with that. He's not breaking any restrictions. Right, hang on, Grant. Did we jump away though? Hang on. Where did we go first? Because we need to be adjacent to the same German unit. Was it here? Oh, God. And this is why you shouldn't be doing this at this time of night, Grant. Right, sorry, I went on pause there for a bit. Not a good timing. Right, I think the original... I'm just looking back. The original sort of preference was adjacent to the most German units. Yeah, and that's why... because that was 4. However, I had to remind myself that it needs to be... Well, here's the thing. I guess it could be able to adjust to any of the 4 hexes. Sorry, I've got cubes there, but because the 4 hexes were an option, that is clearly adjacent to the most German units. It's adjacent to 4. But when we come to adjust, actually no, that takes that one out of the equation, Grant. Because, I was getting carried away there thinking, right, well, I can go to any one of these 4, but it can't. It's got to be, and like I say, this is my assumption, that it has to be either adjacent to this stack of units or this unit. And I'm assuming it can be either or. So this is not going to be an option. And it could actually go to either or. And the reason it's wanting to move from this one, though, with 9.25, is because it's adjacent to a Soviet unit, which is preference D. It wants to be not adjacent to a Soviet unit. So if it did go to here, it would still be adjacent to a Soviet unit. It'd still be adjacent to the German unit, to one of the German units that it moved adjacent to. And that the reason it goes to this one is because it's now not adjacent to a Soviet unit. And it's adjacent to some of the German units. So I guess that works. It feels like, if you're picking between 2, or there could be 3 or 4 German units, as long as you move to a preferential hex around one of them and pick the most preferential hex, which is what this is, because that one wouldn't have worked because it was adjacent to a Soviet unit. The original one it was in was adjacent to the Soviet unit, and that's not. Right, okay, Grant, let's just decide that's where that is. And yeah, there's no restrictions broken, so he's good. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of up against it there, to be honest. And you know what? We've got the 40 core unit in our hand, 40 core card in our hand. That would be 5-1 odds and 3 chip pools. Well, this maybe still risks there. Might be something to do. Because I don't think the other guy. Well, actually that's not true. The other guy might well move out as long as he doesn't leave Slavansk with a German unit proximate to it. So we've moved that guy. So we'll go back to check the next guy in descending order. And there's only this other guy. Take VP hex. No. Right, so adjacent to German unit. So he's going to do the same. So movement method 8 again. Move to an unoccupied hex that's adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. So that kind of means he can't go there because he's going to be adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to the same German unit. And the ones down here we already looked at. So it's more than likely it could be. It's going to be these two. These are going to be adjacent to a German unit. Yeah, he's going to be able to do both of them. I thought he might be opening the gap to Sylvansk, but I don't think he is with either of them options. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's his two choices. That will be adjacent to a German unit but not have a Soviet unit also adjacent to it. So preference A hex adjacent to the most German units. I was about to say they've both got one, but that's not the case, is it? This guy's got two. So that's it. It's broken. Well, let's just see though. I'm going to leave the other cube there this time. Put that back because I don't think he is breaking a restriction. But however, 9.25 might kick in. So yeah, I mean the restriction to worry about there is there a German unit proximate to that? There is not. So that's where they prefer to go with the movement method. So let's bounce over to 9.25. Operational limit, surround. Nope. Support, hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit. Yeah, here and we kick in again, don't we? Well, oh no, that's not. Sorry, my bad. I'm thinking there's still a unit here and there's not. So he is not. He's fine, isn't he? Right. Late night episode, mind. Right, okay. Got to take that into account. Hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit. That is not adjacent to a Soviet unit. That would not be adjacent to a Soviet unit as well, though. An empty or garrison hex, they're both empty. A hex not occupied by an active unit. They are not. Okay, so here we've come at the end of this checking 9.25, and we've not found. So yeah, here's another bit, and I've been here before, and Martin must have seen this before, or well, I mean, when I reached this case in the past, I just said, right, okay, that he stays where his preference was, he's looked at 9.25, he's not been able to find anything. Even though there was another option here, he stayed with his preference. That feels right to me, but it could be. I mean, I've not even considered what the options would be here. It could be that Martin's saying that if he can't find a set hex within 9.25, you jump to tiebreakers, and that maybe could end up being that it changes it to there. Well, let's have a look. Tiebreakers, closest to the unit's objective. That's 1, 2, that's 1, 2, 3. Oh, well, okay. There you go then. But I'm sure that could come up in the future and not result in that being simply like that. So, yeah, I need to look at his response and maybe have a follow-up question or two. So okay, so that's right, and do we have a restriction broken? No, because it's not. We're not leaving proximity to Smolensk. Okay. Right. So now, well, that's movement. So attack checks, I guess. Well, there's only the 2 units, but we do have a reserve, mind. Attack checks. Right, and ascend in order. So this unit here, this unit here. Right, well, if he's checking on his own, so he's checking here or here. So he's obviously going to look at this one, which is slightly better odds. Include strength of all active reserve units that could be placed in hexes. Well, he certainly could. The reserve could come in here or here. So, and it's this is the reserve. So he's 2 strength. Well, I'll put him there just now, just in case. So we've got 6 against 3. Or 6 against 4, but you can see where I'm going with this. So 6 against 3, but he is going to get a +1 for being adjacent to a supplied German unit. No IPs. This is where that would have kicked in if I had selected one of these guys for an IP, you know. So 6 against 3, so it's 6 against 4, so it's kind of 1.5 to 1, isn't it? So it's greater than 1 to 1. So we need to do the tactical value check. Okay, so that and yeah, we've not got Assault Coordination as the auxiliary card. In fact, we can't play it as a combat tactic because it's not turn 2 yet. So there's that. So let's do the tactical value check. Command value of activating card is a 3, so that's a pretty good start actually. If situational strength is is 2 or greater, then we get a +2 for this. So that kind of boosts it quite a bit. Yeah, that's the one that I remember looking, but no, let's not go there. Right, so 6 against 3, but it's 6 against 4. So if it was 6 against 3, we'd get a +2 here. But he's not. So he's not. And then if Soviet artillery barrage bonus applies, it is not. We're just outside. We move these guys back. If attack is in support, yes. So that's +1. That takes you to 4. If only Soviet units have armor, no, they don't. Hang on, the reserve. No, the reserve. They're all infantry. Yeah. Right. So no. If flanking will apply. No, because he can't go in here, can he? He needs to be able to trace supply. Nah. No, flanking's not going to apply. At best, he's going to be attacking from 2 adjacent hexes. So no, But or defender will be surrounded and unable to trace supply. No, that's not going to happen either. Target hex is VP greater than or equal to 2. No, it's not. If all combat tactics and auxiliary card apply to the attack, well, no, they don't, because it's not turn 2. And then +1 if less than 4 cards in Soviet draw pile. There is, isn't there? There's only 3 left. Yeah, so that is a +1. That only takes it to 5 though. So yeah, I don't like where that victory points tracker is, because it's right beside the cards, and every time you pick the cards up, could have done me being on the other side, I think. Anyway, these are things that the player gets to moan about, and the designer and developer and whoever it is makes them app. Struggle with the, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's just one of the things, I suppose. So he would get a +1 for that, so it's 5. So it's not 7 though, so no attack there. I'll keep the reserve there. No, this isn't going to happen, is it? So the other checks 2 against, yeah, too many. Let's not go there. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Okay, so they both moved, they both done combat checks, but, and then that's that. Remove disperse markers, discard command card, and if there's an auxiliary card, then right, put this guy back in the reserves. Right, so we're done. We moved the 2 units. They didn't conduct an attack. This is getting discarded, and there is indeed an auxiliary card just waiting patiently, and it's deja vu. Right, let's try and, yeah, I can still finish this, can't I? Because well, we're going to activate them again. So he activates, and then we do have the reserve, which I will bring out this time and, oops, put on the card just to keep it in mind. And then quickly, remember we've got the army objective. It's not getting removed yet, so we're following 9.26. Take VP hex. No, we're not doing that. Adjacent to German unit, method 8. Well, I think we've satisfied that, so I don't think we're doing that anymore. Move to an unoccupied hex that's adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. Well, we're already there. However, a unit starting in a hex satisfying this movement method does not move by this or any subsequent method except as directed in 9.25. Well, okay, so they're going to have satisfied that movement method, aren't they? Was it yeah, identical to 9.21 method 8. Yeah. So, and we're doing this in descending order. So this guy here, 10, he is adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. So unless he can move by 9.25, he's not doing anything. So what he's doing is just that, nothing, unless he can adjust. And my guess is, because this is the last turn, he's in the right place. It's not adjacent to a Soviet unit. Yeah, so if he adjusted to here, he'd be adjacent to a Soviet unit, so that doesn't work. He's in an empty hex. The hex not occupied then. Yeah. Well, I'm finding nothing with 9.25, so would I look at tiebreakers again? No, because, yeah, nah. No, Grant. because these are the only two hexes he could go to, and this would be adjacent to a Soviet unit, and this is not. So no, he doesn't need a tie break. Right, and then the next unit is the same, isn't it? Yeah, he's already adjacent and not adjacent to a Soviet unit, adjacent to the same German unit. So that's his movement considered complete, or whatever it is. What is the wording? Unit starting ahead. Satisfying this movement method does not move by this or any subsequent method except as directed by 9.25. Yeah, so again, you can't move on to other movement methods. That's it. And then he's not going to adjust either. Surely not. Hex not adjacent. Well, he could possibly adjust into this hex, but I think we've been here already and tie breaked it anyway. Hex not adjacent to an empty garrison. Hex not occupied by an active unit. Yes, and then if you then went to tiebreakers, it is closest to the unit's objective marker, and that would be 1, 2, 3 away, whereas that is only 1, 2 away. Yeah, we're done. We're done. So in actual fact, they're doing nothing here. We can do these attack checks again, but you know what? We're not going to bother because it's exactly the same. Now you might well say, well, they've done nothing this time, so what happens there? Well, what happens there is this card goes in the bin and we, just accept the fact that they're doing nothing. Just double checking that. Yeah, because it's slightly different than the Soviet Soul game where you would draw another card. Let me just find a bit of wording to give you on that. Well, in actual fact, I'm saying that they did do nothing. Page 14, well, it's a continuation of 8.1 from page 13. It's the very last part, the very last sentence, in fact, to that 8.1. It says, if no commands on the card can be conducted, discard the card without effect. So like I say, it's a bit different to Soviet Soul, where you would, if you didn't do anything at all, if none of the units got to do anything, you would draw another card and you would keep doing that until you got to do something. However, we did hit the movement method. We did look at it. We did say that this was, movement. It wasn't going to move by any other movement method. We were able to do combat checks. It's just we kind of like skipped by them because they were exactly the same. So, in actual fact, it's maybe not quite as cut and dry as I had said. Anyway, that was a kind of dull Soviet impulse to finish the night, wasn't it? But maybe that's what I needed though. If it had been a bit more complex, I might have been struggling, throwing the towel in and saying, right, I'm away to my bed. Although that's not to say that everything went right. I might have blundered my way through it as well. When I look back in some of the stuff, sometimes you look back, and that one with it was outside the artillery barrage zone, and I still wanted to add a chip pool. Yeah, you go and do that, Grant. It's like, right, he's not in an artillery barrage zone, but I'll add a chip anyway. Yeah, okay. Right, well, that's good enough for me for the night, and hopefully it's not been too blurry this episode, and I'll be back in the morning with a fresh head, and I'm going to look at Martin's response and get all keyed up and switched on to what he's saying, maybe even fire back a couple of times, because a couple of wee bits came up there as well, didn't it? But I need a clearer head to kind of think it over and yeah, decide what's what. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow with, well, this is part 10, isn't it? So I'll be back tomorrow with part 11, hopefully. Okay, cheers guys.